students, let us study transpiration. This is a chapter for standard 10 biology. Now let us start. You all are already aware of this word transpiration. Doesn't it sound very close to evaporation? It does. But it's different from evaporation. Now let us know the definition of transpiration. Transpiration is the process of loss of water. From where? From aerial parts of the plants and leaves, of course leaves and aerial parts of the plant in the form of water vapor. So how is water being lost? In the form of water vapor. Now let's say I take a potted plant. Suppose this is a potted plant here, leaves, and it's in a pot, it's growing in a pot. So I put a polythene bag around this here. And another place I take just an empty polythene bag. Now whenever we do this kind of comparative studies, we say, what do we say? We say that we are using a control so that we can understand. Now here there's a potted plant, and after a while we leave it in sunlight outside, you can see. Then you will see after a while there will be droplets of water, especially if the temperature outside is cool. Inside the plastic bag there will be droplets of water. Now from where did these droplets of water come? They came from the leaf. They evaporated from the leaf, they came out of the leaf, they diffused out of the leaf, and they collected in this plastic bag. At the same time, if you have just this plastic bag, no plant, then what will happen? There will be no change here in the plastic bag. It will remain the same. Let us study another experimental setup. So what do we have here? We have two bell jars. Inside the bell jar, we have placed a potted plant. We have covered the pot completely with a polythene bag. Only the parts of the plant are exposed here. Then we have another potted pot here without the plant. Why? Because this is the control setup, so that we can compare results. This is also covered with a polythene bag. Inside we have put cobalt chloride paper. Now let's start with our experiment. We keep this setup in the sun for a while, and after a while you will see water droplets have condensed and they have gathered here on the walls of the bell jar. Also this cobalt chloride paper, its speciality is that after it comes in contact with moisture, it turns pink. Originally it is blue. Turns pink when in contact with moisture. So when we observe these two experimental setups, and we can see both the experimental setups, we have kept this part covered. Why have we kept this part covered? Because we don't want the water that is evaporating from the soil here to interfere with our results. We want to know whether the water is actually being transpired by the plants. So we have to rule this part out. That's why we cover it completely with a polythene bag. Otherwise we would have thought, oh okay, maybe the water is coming from the soil, evaporating from the soil. So that is ruled out here. This cobalt chloride paper after a while turns pink. At the same time, in this bell jar B, you will see that there is no change in the cobalt chloride paper. It continues to remain blue. It remains blue. Why? Because it didn't come in contact with moisture in any way. So this is a very simple experiment, but it tells us that the parts of the plant, the green leaves, the aerial parts of the plant, they are giving out water. In what form? Water vapor. Now you might think that water vapor we have written there. Then why are these actual? Because condensation has happened. When water vapor comes in contact with a cool surface, it condenses and gathers like this in the form of water droplets. Now let us draw some conclusions out of these two experiments. The first conclusion that we drew is water is escaping, it's moving out of the plant in the form of water vapor. It is getting condensed so we can see the droplets, but it is moving out in the form of water vapor in both conditions. See, this was the first experiment that we did. But in the second one, there is no such result found. There is no water gathered here. Secondly, cobalt chloride, it shows the presence of moisture when it turns pink. From blue, it turns pink. So in these two cases, it turned pink. But in the cases where the plant was absent, it was blue. It remained blue. So cobalt chloride, it shows us whether there is presence or absence of moisture, and that transpiration happens through these aerial parts of the plant. Let us now study how we measure transpiration. So it can be done using two methods, the weighing method and the potometer. So for this method, we can take a plant, a potted plant, and completely cover the soil so that the vapor that is coming out, the evaporation that is happening, does not interfere with our experiment. Then we cover this with another polythene bag, or we can use a bell jar also, which can be removed before taking the final weight. So we take the first we take the weight of the plant full along with its pot, and then after we leave it to transpire for a while, then again we remove this plastic cover and we take its weight again. So the difference in weight will show us how much of transpiration has happened. Another method is this way. We take a plant, a shoot like this, a twig, and we keep it in a test tube. We put oil here, one layer of oil. Why we are putting oil here? It's an important question. And this is the layer of oil here, and down there's water. So after a while you'll see that the level has gone down also, but you can take the weight of the plant before in the beginning of the experiment, and after a while you can take the weight. You will see there'll be a difference in weight. This difference shows how much water has been transpired. Then there is another apparatus, we can call it. So this is like a bottle. So it's like a bottle. This bottle, by a rubber tube here on the side, it is fixed to a reservoir. Okay. Now this reservoir is a graduated reservoir. So there will be a scale here, and then over here a potted, like this, like a twig is inserted, leafy shoot is here. So as the water is being transpired, this is full of water, even the reservoir is full of water. So as water is being transpired, lost by the aerial parts of the plant, the level in the reservoir will also fall. Now, looking at this, we can see what is the initial level, what is the final level, and we can know how much of transpiration has happened. Now, after the weighing method, we have another method, the potometer method. Now, first let us understand what is a potometer. A potometer is a device, you can say a little apparatus, that measures the rate of water intake by a plant. Now, over the years, many researchers, scientists, they developed various kinds of potometers. Let us know them. And all their potometers were made for fulfilling different objectives. They wanted to test transpiration in its various ways and to measure it in various ways, compare it and all. So each one. So we have Farmer's potometer, Darwin's potometer. What was this potometer? What would it do? It demonstrates suction force. So as water is rising in the stem, a suction force is created due to transpiration. So continuous flow, hence a suction force is created. This could be measured by Darwin's potometer. Then we have Ganong's potometer. The rate of water intake by a plant, you can demonstrate here. How much water is being taken, the rate of intake. Ganong's potometer. Garrow's potometer. What does it show? It shows unequal transpiration from the two surfaces. Now if we have a leaf, a dorsiventral leaf, and we want to know which surfaces is giving out more water in the form of water vapors, so this can be done by Garrow's potometer. Now what we study in our syllabus is Ganong's potometer. This is a very important potometer. The questions are many times asked in the board exam, so we must study this in detail. Now when we are saying water intake, if the potometer is measuring the rate of water intake, so we are thinking that the water intake is almost equal to the water transpired out by the leaf or lost through the leaf. So we are considering in our mind, there may be a little difference here and there, but water intake is almost equal. That's why we have used the word almost. Almost equal to the water lost through transpiration. This is a fact, remember it. Students, we just learned that we can measure transpiration using a potometer. Now for you here, we have a Ganong's potometer. at present we are not conducting the experiment. Let us get familiar with all the parts of this apparatus. Now this is a glass apparatus, there can be a plastic one also. Now let's see what makes up this apparatus. Now at the end here you can see, here is the place where we fix the leafy shoot. Next to it is this reservoir, the water reservoir, and it is having this stopcock. So when we want water from the reservoir to go into the apparatus, we can use this stopcock. Now you can see this horizontal arm here. It is made up of all graduated. You can measure. So there is a scale here. You can measure. The other end, the far end, it dips into this beaker. Now when we conduct the experiment, there is colored water in this beaker. An air bubble is introduced from this end, which comes up here, and then as the air bubble moves, the colored water also from the beaker rises here. This way transpiration is happening. The plant is losing water from its leaves, and then the water rises here, the air bubble. As the air bubble moves along this graduated scale in this capillary, in this tube, as the bubble moves, then we can see what is its initial reading, what is its final reading. So many ways this apparatus can be used. We can keep it in humid conditions, we can keep it in bright sunlight to study transpiration. So various conditions, this can see the rate of transpiration. Now if we want to restart the experiment, that means we want the air bubble to go back to its initial position here, we can open the stopcock and water from the reservoir will enter. That will push the air bubble back to its original position. Now in the beaker, remember, there is colored water and the rest of the apparatus is filled with ordinary water. So this is Ganong spotometer to measure the rate of transpiration. Now let's study the Ganong spotometer. Again I'll tell you, this is a very important part of your chapter. Questions are asked in the board exam. Please prepare this well. We just now saw the apparatus. Now I have drawn a simple diagram of the apparatus here for you. Let's see. You can see here, this is the beaker containing colored water. This is the air bubble. Here an air bubble has been introduced. Then we have a scale here to see how far this has gone. The scale can be longer also. So you can see the scale is fixed here. Then we have the reservoir. On top of the reservoir here, on top of the surface of the water, this is oil. I'll tell you the reason why oil has been put. Now we have this leafy twig here which is inserted. All this is packed properly so that there is no interference from outside. So it's inserted here and the entire apparatus is filled with water. So this part contains colored water and here just ordinary water. And this entire setup is placed in the sunlight or under other conditions in which we want to place it. Then we can see how the process happens. Now as the transpiration happens, water is being lost from that aerial parts through the leaves. This air bubble which has been introduced here, it moves along this horizontal tube here. As it moves along, first we can note its initial position, then we can see its final position. Finally, after our time period for which we can test it, we want to see which is under our experiment, that time period. After that time period, the final position of the air bubble can be noted and then we can find our results. Now, see the reservoir here, I said there is oil here on the surface. Why there is oil here on the surface? So that there is no loss of water from the surface of the reservoir. Then we want to know that the water that is being lost only by the leaves. So if this is also being lost this way, then again our results will not be correct. Here we have that stopper, the stopcock here. As we want to, suppose the air bubble has moved and it's come here. Now we want the air bubble, we must take many readings. So when we want this air bubble to come back to its initial position, this is open and again the water pushes the air bubble back to its position. So this is how the Ganong spotometer works. Now many questions can be asked. How do we introduce the air bubble? So how do we introduce? We just lift it for a little while, allow air to very quickly enter and we quickly plug it with our fingers and we again put it back in the colored water. Then another question can be asked, why colored water is being used? So that as we move up, we can we can compare. This is plain water, this is colored water. So we can compare, as we can see the movement of the air bubble going this way, air bubble is moving this way. So we can see colored water makes it easy to differentiate between the two areas, colored water, simple water, ordinary water. Now, what is the role of this stopcock here? So when you open the stopcock, again the air bubble it restarts the experiment. We want to bring it back to its original position, so we can restart the experiment. Water will go back here downwards. Now, also you can be asked, why is this a scale? Why is this a graduated scale? So to study the initial position, final position. Now there are some precautions which we must carry out if we are using the Ganong's potometer. Now, potometer should be completely watertight. Why should this happen? Because we don't want water to evaporate from any other way. We want it only to evaporate through the aerial parts of the plant. Because then otherwise our results will get altered and it will affect our results. Then, twig should be cut obliquely. When we are cutting something, suppose this is the twig. If we cut it straight, very small surface area. If this is a twig and we cut it oblique, see, we get a larger surface area. See, this part from here to here is larger than this part. So because we want a larger surface area for water intake, so that the water rises in the twig. Then, twig should be cut underwater. Why underwater? Because if we cut it out of water, air will enter in. Then the process of absorption of water or the rise of water through the xylem will not happen, because the air will obstruct it. Then if the readings are taken under altered conditions, means different conditions, so immediately we shouldn't take it when we are putting it, sending it to a new condition. Suppose we are sending it from bright sunlight to very dim sunlight, or we are keeping it under a tree and then we are keeping it in bright sunlight. So whenever the condition is altered, that time we should allow the apparatus to stand for a while. What will happen then? The rate of transpiration will be established by that time, and the plant or the twig over there will also get used to the new conditions. Thereby it will establish the new condition. It will get established, it will get used to the new condition, and our results will be better. Then try to keep the light intensity throughout the experiment. Now we are putting it. So it's not like, okay, at the start of the experiment, it was very bright light. In the end of the experiment or somewhere in the middle, it became dim light. So then the results will again get affected. So if we are using light here, so light intensity throughout the experiment should be constant. So these precautions have to be kept in mind when we are working with Ganong's potometer. The limitations of the Ganong's potometer are as follows. The potometer does not measure the water lost by transpiration. What does it measure actually? Only the water drawn by the plant as a result of transpiration. Then, difficult to introduce an air bubble. Very difficult it is actually if you try it. So after many trials, maybe in the beginning you get it correctly done, introduction of the air bubble. So it's not a very quick process. Like quickly we can't do it. Then the twig might die out after a while, might dry out after a while. So that will also hamper our results. Then the position of the air bubble here can be affected by the temperature of the air surrounding it. So these are the various limitations. No, at least 2-3 limitations of this potometer. Now the question arises, one question can be asked somewhere. Give an example of a plant that can be used in Ganong's potometer. So you can just say Coleus. Remember 2-3 names, Coleus. Another question can be asked, how do we restart the experiment? How do you restart the experiment? By, if you open the stopcock here, again the air bubble will come back and the experiment will restart.